Hello detectives, Chief Labadee here, coming to you from my home sewing studio. It's been a bit hectic this month, so this is what we're doing. Jake and I are here and we're going to hopefully simplify this complicated looking block so that it's something that you can make successfully at home. This month what we're going to be making is this Lemoyne, we're calling it Lemoyne Lake block. And you're going to be making 5 sets of coral colored flying geese, okay? So the flying geese, you're going to have 5 squares in your bag, and then you're going to grab your squares of your own personal flying geese fabric from home, the ones you cut in month 1, and you're going to make 5 sets of flying geese, and you're going to set those aside, and then you're going to work to make this Lemoyne Lake block. I adapted this block myself from a series called The Blockbusters, which this is an amazing resource that Deb Tucker has started to provide. She's been doing this, I think, for 5 or 6 years now. Oh, no, longer than that. This one's from 2017. So on the Studio 180 website, if you want to make more blocks, she has all of these things. They're called Blockbusters and they're free. And you can go on there and print them, and it'll tell you up in the corner which, or right here on the title, it tells you which rulers you need to make these blocks. And this block, Jake, you want to zoom in? I mean, it shows you on the back. It kind of gives you 3 different color options. You can see how different the block looks in different, when done in different colors. And then this one up here, I colored this in myself because I wanted to figure out what colors to use. Okay, so the front of this, it gives you some basic directions. You'll see down here I wrote in more because the block wasn't coming out big enough for us. So I figured out a few things that I made it wrong, but that's a different story. So this is the block we're going to be making, and we're going to do it using the Lemoyne Star ruler. And it's not nearly as complicated as it looks. I think it's a really stunning block. And it is easier than you think once you know how to use your Lemoyne Star ruler, which you all do because you learned how to do that last month. So let's get organized here, and I'll show you how we're going to make this block. Okay, that block is made up of these 4 basic units, and I'm going to warn you, these are actually smaller than the units you're going to be making. This is from my mistake block so that I have an exact example to show you. This is going to be unit 1, this is unit 2, this is unit 3, and this is unit 4 in your directions, okay, in the directions that I've given you this month. What you need to notice here is unit 2 and 3, this is 2, this is 3. They're mirror images, okay? The background and the turquoise are reversed. And this is the part that can really kind of mess you up. So what we want to do is I'm going to explain to you how to label everything and what to do so that you keep these straight, okay? So again, unit 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all you've done with all of these is make your strip sets in different combinations, okay? So what you're going to need to get going here is a few things. You're going to need your directions that we've typed up for you. You're going to need your Lemoyne Star ruler and your Lemoyne Star directions, because we are going to be following these through step 14. Okay, so you've got to have these directions. All right, you need your Tucker trimmer for just after step 14, and then you need your fabric. Okay, you also need your directions. You're going to cut things exactly the way they're described on page 2 of your directions, your cutting directions, okay, right here. You're going to cut everything exactly the way it says, and then you're going to label everything. So what I'm going to make right now is unit 1, okay? So I'm going to show you, I'm going to review with you how to cut a piece, this first cut of your turquoise fabric, and then I'm gonna you're gonna go off and cut all the rest of it on your own, okay? So this month, you have been given pretty much basic cuts of fabric. You've got yardage this month instead, except for your flying geese. Those are cut exactly. So remember, we got to straighten an edge. So my piece of turquoise fabric is not as big as yours, okay? And mine is also a different print than yours, but it might, I don't know, it might be the same as some people's. Everybody's got different fabric this month, but it's all the same basic colors, okay? This is turquoise. We've got navy, yellow, and then this is gray. I don't know. It could have been gray. It could have been pink. It could have been a lot of different things, but I settled finally on calling it gray. So you're going to take your turquoise fabric, you're going to open it up, and you're going to press it. And you're going to press that center fold out of your fabric, and then you're going to refold it with your selvages together, and then you're going to straighten an edge, okay? Jake is going to stay here, but I'm going to go around to the other side of the table to cut it. And we're going to, the way you cut it is you line up one solid black line of your ruler right along the selvage edge down here, okay? And then you want to make sure that you're going to cut through both thicknesses of fabric, all right? So that you've got an even line over here. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to cut so that I've cut and I've got through both layers of fabric and I've got a straight edge. And then now I'm going to cut two pieces. I'm cutting the pieces that are going to be set 1 star. So these are 3 1/4 inches wide. So what I'm doing is I didn't move my fabric. I'm lining up the 1, 2, 3 1/4 inch line all the way along the edge. And now I'm going to make my cut. And now I'm going to cut another one. And now if I were to if I had my full piece of turquoise fabric here, I would just keep going. Now, after you cut these, now you need to cut 2 pieces that are 4 3/4, okay? You would keep going until you had all of your pieces cut. These you would label set 1 star and set them aside. And you're going to cut everything, you're going to label everything, and then you're going to move on. Now, I'm going to show you how to make unit 1. Once you've made unit 1, I'll explain to you how to make the rest of the units, but I hope it will be obvious. What we're going to do is we're going to pull out our Lemoyne Star directions, and we're going to follow these. Now, remember last month how we had an A strip and a B strip and 2 star strips? That's the same thing we've got here. That's why we labeled things set 1A, set 1B, set 1 star. So to get to work on unit 1, we're going to grab this set of fabric. Set 1A, set 1B, set 1 star. Okay? And we're going to just follow along exactly the way we did last month with these directions. So this is set 1A. And remember, the first thing we do is mark down from the top. And these strips are 4 3/4 inches wide. So I'm going to measure down from my selvage 4 3/4 inches. I'm going to grab a friction pen. I'm going to measure down 4 3/4 inches and I'm going to put a mark. And then I'm going to do the same thing on set 1B, or on the B strip, but I'm going to do it on this side. Okay? And then I'm going to cut the selvages off one end of my star strip. And I'm going to lay it right on that mark. And I'm going to grab a pin to hold it in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna cut off my selvage on my other strip. Lay it on the opposite side and put a pin in there to hold it in place. And now I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew these on. Quarter-inch seam. Hold on, you guys. Somebody moved my foot pedal. Okay. So now 1.8 stitch length. And we're just going to go nice and slow. The whole length. And you can see, I've said it before, I adjust to the edge of my table here. And now I've got my finger on where I made sure my strips are, the raw edges are together, and I sew to my finger and then I stop. And then I make sure my strips are laying flat, my raw edges are together, and I put my finger there. I'm not pulling or tugging, I'm just putting my finger there to mark how far I know my strips are together. Actually, I can't even get to my finger. It slid a little bit. Okay, almost to the end. That one's done. Now I'm going to grab my other one. This guy's got to get sewn this way. My pin is in the wrong spot. Just going to take the pin out. Okay. And now these two are not. Okay, what I'm going to do is take a couple of stitches to anchor it, because these guys aren't together at all. Okay, so again, little bits at a time. I do not have my speed set to be super fast. I actually use the speed slider to help me maintain focus. I can get very distracted while I sew long seams like this. And to keep myself focused on what I'm doing, I actually slowed my speed down. Jake, you might want to show him here my speed slider. Oh, you did? Okay. All right, well, he's ahead of me. But mine is only ever barely on the 2 arrows. It's never on the 3. So. Almost there. Okay. And the thing about this is there's going to be quite a bit of leftovers on your strips. We experimented in the shop the other day. We were hoping we could tell you guys to use half strips, but you can't. You need the whole strip. So sometimes I think we're the weirdest fabric shop ever. We're always trying to find ways to save fabric. But, you know, that's okay. Whoop, guys. Okay, got to the end. Before I forget, that was my A and this was my B. You always want to have these marked, which is your A and which is your B. Okay, now we are going to press them. The A pair you press towards the star. No, the A you press, hold on. Step 4, the A pair should have seams pressed towards the background. The B pair will be pressed towards the star. So, how do we do this? The same way we always do it. We press open first. And then we're going to press towards the background because this is our A pair. And I always, after I've pressed open, flip over and press it open from the other side. When my mom first showed me to do this, I thought, my gosh, that's a lot of pressing. But the thing I see on the long arm that the #1 mistake people make is their pressing isn't good enough. So now I press towards the background. And I'm at home and I have my unicorn tears and I love them. So I'm going to use them. Okay. Okay. Alrighty, almost there. And that's our A strip, and our A strip gets laid on the top. So we're going to set that aside for a minute, and now I'll do the B strip. And Jake is going to pause the video because I need to go get more water. Okay, so I got more water and now I pressed open from both sides and now I am pressing towards the star strip. I'm almost done. And again, the star strip in this one is turquoise. So this is the B set. So it's going to get laid down right side up, and then we're going to lay right sides together our A set on top of that. So we're going to lay this down with our star strip facing us and the gray background strip on top. Enough stuff here to, and then we're going to turn our other one so that it lays. And now we're going to make sure these seams nest. So we're going to do that with our fingers. And now we're going to make cuts, and you're going to need 4 pieces. Basically, we're making this piece but bigger, and we need to make 4 blocks that look just like this, okay? So that's what we're doing. Okay. All right, so the way we've been doing this in the shop is with the 45-degree lines on our ruler right here. We're going to lay it so that that line, this line right here, aligns with the bottom of the star strip. And we're going to cut off as little as possible here, but you'll see my 45-degree line is exactly along the bottom of my star strip, and I'm going through my stitching right there, okay? And that's my first cut. So this is step 6, okay? So I'm going to make that cut, and then take this, and I'm gonna, remember, I hang on to these because it tells me which is A and which is B, and I might need to know that. So I'm gonna lay these over here so I can see them if I need to. And now I'm going to make 4 cuts. And these are going to be the same width as your star strip. And we cut our star strips 3 1/4. So I'm going to find my 3 1/4 inch line on my ruler, and I'm going to lay that on the cut edge right here, and I'm going to cut. And I'm going to get 4 of those. And remember, you want to move these as little as possible, okay? So I'm going to get 4 3 1/4 inch cuts. Okay, the one question we did get last month was we started to see people would have one wonky, you'd start to get wonky blocks. If this edge gets uneven at all, you just recut. Just lay your 45 back on there, okay, back on the bottom of your turquoise, and just recut. So if this edge gets uneven, just even it out. You have plenty of fabric to do that, okay? You can't get wonky cuts. The other thing you want to check and make sure is that these are still nested, okay? As you get farther down the strip, you want to make sure you're still nested there. We are. So that's good. Okay, so this is my 4th cut. And you guys can see how much fabric you're going to have left over. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Save it, okay? That way if something goes wrong, you can cut another piece. Okay, now we got to make those second cuts to get those triangles off of there. So I'm going to switch to a smaller ruler because I can. And what you want to do is I've got this, I've got a solid line along the top edge of this piece. And I am going to put the edge of my ruler as close to this point, the point where your stitching stitches off exactly. The intersection here is your stitching in the edge of your fabric. You're going to put it on there, and you're going to cut, okay? Ta-da! And remember, you save those. So now you do that again. And I'm doing this where they lie. I'm not moving them if I don't have to. And we did see that this makes a difference, okay? We saw this in class. It makes a difference if you cut in. If you cut over here and you are cutting off some of your stitching, your piece isn't big enough. So it really, you want to get the edge of that stitching, where the edge of the stitching comes off the fabric. If you can get it exact, that's what you want, okay? Don't worry about the fact that this looks funky or this looks funky or whatever. No big deal. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is grab your, how do these go? Like this. It always takes me a minute. And once I get them, we're just matching this picture right here, step 9 diagram. That's what we're matching. We're making sure we have these guys all right. And I like to take them and stack them up so that I don't have to think about this again. Okay. And now you're going to sew your triangles back onto the sides here, okay? So I lay it all out so I don't have to, like I said, so I don't have to think about this a whole lot. Now I can just go sew, okay? So now we're going to sew these guys onto here and these guys onto here. Only here's the thing, for the sake of time, I'm just going to do one set so that you can, because we're just making one block on the video, okay? So I'm going to set those guys over there, finish them up later. So we're going to go back to the machine. And we're going to sew them on. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to have my raw edges together. And I'm making sure that these triangles that are sticking out are approximately equal. They don't have to be perfect, but just so they're approximately the same size. Obviously, if they're like this is not going to work. This one's too small and that one's too big, okay? So you want them to be approximately equal, but they don't have to be. You don't have to get out your ruler and measure them. It's more important that your raw edges are together than those two triangles are exactly equal. Okay, so now I've got my triangle on the bottom. Doing a 1/4 inch seam, 1.8 seam length, or stitch length. And now I'm going to do this other guy. Now this one. And I like to do it with the triangle on the bottom and this guy on the top, because the triangle doesn't have any seams in it and this guy does. And this way I can make sure that the seam stays pressed and doesn't get all out of whack. Okay. Once we get this sewn on, we're good. Whoop, missed. Clip them apart. Clip off my threads. And now we're going to go back to the pressing mat and we press them according to the diagram in step 11, which is, okay, this is my A. This is my A piece, and A is going to get pressed towards my star. And actually, you'll notice this is going the same direction. This seam goes the same direction as that seam. Press it from both sides. Don't put your hand in the path of the steam. And then this is the same thing. This is going to get pressed towards the background. This is my B strip. But your visual clue is this seam is pressed this way, so this seam is also going to get pressed that way. Okay, and now we're going to grab our Lemoyne Star ruler. And I've moved things around so many times. I almost lost it. And we're using the 12 lines. We're making a 12-inch block. So What I have done is I got my V lined up first, then I made sure that I'm lined up here and here, okay? And then we're gonna grab our rotary cutter. We're gonna, and did you see that guy scoot at the end? When that happens, straighten it out and fix it. And now, Jake, I have to go this way, so you might wanna swing around over that way. I don't know. No, I meant over my shoulder. There you go. Okay. And then this guy gets trimmed up the same way, but I'm going to turn it because I was at a terrible angle. I could not cut that. That piece is probably wonky. Okay, again, line, V here, line here. You want these 2 points are very, very important. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I've got pressure. I have really big hands. If you do not have really big hands, then you can move your hand partway through. You can pause and move. Okay. But these are not easy cuts to make. They are incredibly important cuts to make. Okay. So now we're going to go sew this guy together like this. And Deb Tucker is so smart. She always makes sure your seams are nesting here. And that is your very important point right there, okay? You want your corners to come together, but you really want this point here to nest. So you can see how that's, can you see, Jake? Well, that's totally blurry. There you go. So we can see that my seams are coming together, okay? And you can feel that too. So now, every time I swing around to this, I kick my cord for my iron because it's in a different spot than it usually is. It's gonna be a miracle if I don't make a mess. Raw edges together. I do this slow because this is a bias edge and you can really, really, really stretch if you're not careful. So. If you have trouble with this end fading, grab a stiletto and hold it because you don't want to stretch this and you don't want to fade. And this end is, it can be hard to get this end under your machine. So go slow, grab your stiletto and just be careful, okay? Okay, once we've done that, whoop. Back to the pressing mat. First, I'm going to check it. See how great my points came together there? That's awesome. And now we're going to press this open. First, we're going to press this we sewed, which I forgot to do before. And now we're going to press this seam open, and you want to be careful. You want to press. You don't want to distort. Okay, so press it open and then press from this side. And then this is where now it is slightly different. Now we're going to trim this up. You're going to grab your Tucker trimmer. We are trimming to 6.5. We're going to use our diagonal line. We're going to use our half moon side. Okay, remember guys, the line is here. The line, this is your 6.5 inch, this dashed line, okay? When you get to your Tucker trimmer, when you're trimming at this biggest size, it's really easy to get confused. So you're focusing on the edge of your ruler, your diagonal line, and this line, okay? That's it. We're gonna lay our diagonal on the diagonal of the ruler, and this is This is where the rubber hits the road. You don't have a lot of wiggle room, but your block needs to be at or beyond this dashed line. So it's a little beyond it. And then you need a little bit sticking out here. There's gonna be more on your triangles than there is on this piece back here. But there needs to be something. If there isn't, stop. Don't keep going. Don't trim it up, okay? Stop and figure out what you did. It might be your center seam is too big. It might be, that's generally the biggest culprit, is that your center seam isn't too big. Generally, if your block doesn't extend beyond the edges, you have seams that are too big somewhere. Mine is okay, so I'm gonna trim it there. Jake, I gotta go across the top here. And you can see I didn't have much, but I had a little, and that's good enough for me. And now we're gonna turn it. And the trick there was this side was more even than the other side. So I trimmed with the more even side this way first, okay? Okay, I've got my diagonal line on here. I've got my dashed line here and my dashed line here. Now I'm gonna trim, and I don't have a lot, but I have just enough, and that's okay. Okay, and I've got a 6.5 inch unit 1. Okay, this is unit 1. Now, how are you, once you make unit 1, you have 4 of them. You'll have 4 of them when you're done. Label them unit 1 and set them aside, okay? Unit 2 and 3, again, are the same, made with the same fabrics. Where did my leftover turquoise go, Jake? Do you see it? There it is. Okay, so unit 2 is gonna be, this is your A strip, your B strip is turquoise, and your star strips are navy, okay? And when you are done, unit 2 looks like this one, okay? So again, this is A, this is B, this is star, and unit 2 looks like this. Unit 3, your turquoise is A, your gray or pink, or whatever it is B, your B strip, and your star strips are navy. Unit 4 is easy. Unit 4, A and B strips are both navy, your star strips are yellow, okay? When you're done, all you do is lay this out in rows, and you kind of rotate, you're gonna rotate your blocks, okay? So row 1 is gonna be unit 1, and then unit 2, and then unit 3 turned, and then another unit 1, okay? And you're gonna sew it together in rows, and you just press according to your arrows. And when you are done, you get your big, gorgeous block, okay? Okay, guys, as always, don't struggle. Don't let yourself, work through it a little bit, but if you are really having trouble, just stop, call us, come in, email me, whatever you got to do, okay? You can come anytime, we're open. Right now, Lynette and I are the ones who are working on Block of the Month. If you have a basic Lemoyne Star question, Martha can also answer, but classes are super busy right now. So again, you can call us, you can come in, or you can email me, all right? When you finish, get us a picture or bring the block in to show us, and bring your flying geese, and we will put your name in the prize bucket. And keep looking for clues. I know you guys can do it. We made some real progress last month in finding some new clues, and I think we're going to do the same this month. Have fun, you guys, and let me know if you got problems.